Okay, so we have a trade recap, and this recap is with the Euro USD. So, as you guys can see, I did take longs or buys on the Euro USD. So, and it was a pretty simple entry. As you guys can see, very minimal drawdown as well. But let's get right into it. First of all, I would like to draw your attention to the monthly time frame, and this will make sense in a second because as we can see over here, indicated by this red little resistance zone. So on the monthly, I don't normally use the monthly time frame at all, even for swing trades. However, this did catch my attention because as we can see on the monthly time frame, we had a bunch of failouts or failures to break above that resistance zone. So as we can see, we tried over there to break, we didn't. We tried once again, we couldn't. We tried again for a third time, and we couldn't break the monthly resistance zone, and price proceeded to push further down once again. However, on the fourth try, as we can clearly see over here, price did eventually manage to push above that very key monthly um, resistance zone. So price won't also just push above uh, a higher time frame resistance zone such as this just for the sake of pushing above, unless obviously it could be a liquidity grab. However, since we failed once, twice, thrice, three times, and then on the fourth try we did eventually break through uh, the monthly resistance zone. It was a good indication to me, especially with the dollar that's weakening right now, at least in the short term. It was a good indication for me that this wasn't necessarily just a liquidity grab or essentially a fake out. So going on to the weekly time frame, it's a similar situation. We can see failed on the first try, failed on the second try, failed on the third try, and then eventually on the fourth try we broke above it. And I was watching the zone quite extensively for a while, and as I said, we got the clean break above the resistance zone, and then price did proceed to push. Um, price did proceed to push back into the zone to retest it, and then of course giving us a reaction off it, and that's where I took my buys. So let me just go ahead and remove this. So like I said, this trade was based off of the monthly time frame slash weekly time frame because we broke above. Couldn't just get in here like I said because it could have been a fake out or a liquidity grab um, to the upside. I waited for price to push into the zone, was resistance, and it now became uh, weekly slash monthly support, right? So I saw this break above and then push below, and then looking at the daily time frame, I waited specifically for a retest of a very key trend line as well. It wasn't this. I think it was something like this. I'm not exactly 100% sure. Yeah, it was something like this. Yes. So, as you guys probably know from previous videos, I only use trend lines on higher time frames such as a 4-hour daily, and if I were weekly as well. But very rarely use the weekly time frame except now on this trade recap. But uh, as you can see, we had a first touch over here, then we had our second touch over there, and then we also can count this as a third touch over there. So we had 1 to 3 touches over there. Then off of the third touch, the next daily candle, which is this bullish candle over here, we can see it is a bullish engulfing candle. So with this bullish engulfing candle off of the third touch of this daily trend line, it was good confirmation for me to show me that okay, price does not want to push any lower. Bulls are still overall in control, even though in the short run we were a bit bearish, but overall bulls are still in control, and that's what actually confirmed uh, my bullish bias for that for a swing trade. So I just want to make note also as well. You can see price pushed it down, right? So this may seem like we broke back below the support zone and failed to hold it. And some of you might have thought that okay, price would have continued pushing lower from here, like we can see with this candle over here. This Some people might have thought this would be a break, then a retest, and then they would have shorted it from there. However, that's the reason why I was making reference to the weekly time frame, because as we can see with this candle here, it shows all that daily candles that I mentioned, and as you can see, this zone still held on the weekly time frame, right, which showed me um, that price. And we can see the way this candle closed as well, we can see that price still had potential to the upside. And for those SMC traders, which I myself am as well, I use SMC concepts as well, this could have just been a fall of this imbalance as well on the weekly time frame. But with that being said, just recap here, like I said, we had the first touch over here on this daily trend line, the second touch over there, and then the third touch. And then off of the third touch, after the third touch, we got a bullish engulfing candle to the upside, a daily bullish engulfing candle to the upside. So I was like, okay, that's good confirmation for me that bulls in the long run are still in control. And as you can see on the next daily candle open, I took my entry, and it was actually a very good entry, because as you can see, it just a little drawdown over there, and then price continued to push higher and in our direction, confirming confirming my bullish bias. So also with that being said, price did kind of mess around, because you can see price initially from my entry point just here, it did push up aggressively in my direction, hit my TP1, but then we can see price came right down, almost back to my entry point over here. But at that point in time, my stop loss was already to break even. It was a risk-free trade. So that is also why it is very important for you guys, especially if you are newer traders, to manage your risk, move your stop loss to break even at least, so that you know, okay, this is a risk-free trade, and that is definitely going to help you guys to remain profitable and consistent in the long run. So that's neither here nor there. Like I said, price hit my TP1, no problem at all. Then it retraced quite aggressively, almost stopping me out at break even. Fortunately, price held, and price continued pushing to the upside, right? So my TP1 was over here, right at these highs over here, this couple of weeks over here, because I figured it would be good to put my TP1 there and move my stop loss at that point to break even or a little bit into profit, purely because price could have swept this 4-hour liquidity. Just make this a different color. Price could have swept this liquidity up here and then continue to push lower, and this very well could have been the reason for this aggressive retrace to the downside, right? So my TP1 was over here, and then my final, or my main TP, was right over here at this very key resistance zone up here. That's where my main TP was. It was at this a very key 4 hour slash daily resistance zone up here. So the reason for that is, as we can see, price failed once, not once, not twice, but 3 times to break through it. So the next step, if price were to come up here for a fourth time, is most likely be a rejection to the downside, right? So with that being said, that's where I put my main TP. And as you can see, price did eventually, after this aggressive turn to the downside, price pushed back up and closed very nicely. So I took this trade. I think it was last week Tuesday, which I think was this either the what date was this? I think it was the 19th or 20th of May. That's when I took it, and I held it all the way up until the Friday.